What up, homies? Catalyst twice into Radium. That's the name of the game as Shopkeeper Dog looks for redemption versus looeye TVZ with ridge caps. Let's go. Looeye is in the top right here as our electric orange Zerg. I almost called him electric Zerg orange. And Shopkeeper Dog is down here with a fairly fast, speedy Mason moving places. Okay, interesting stuff. And of course, we have more than a few things going on here with his forward stockade shenanigans. He is, this time around, I'm going to say Palatinate Purple. Oh, this Cordovan. I never see Palatinate Purple anymore. I guess I'm just looking for it, you know? All right, so we do have a stockade on the way for our Dogman. That will be his debut of working with Bio. We have the Kagrant on the way for a Larvosk with Looeye and his quad gas harvesting. Okay, so he wants to probably go Hydrith after this, but it could be a Shroud response. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. They're not that disparate in terms of resource costs, so not the end of the world if he goes for one or the other. But if he wants military units out anytime soon, it'll have to be the Den, and it looks like maybe that's exactly what he's going for here. Even pulling off the gas workers as well, so he will most likely be opening Izira cores here, and we'll just see him droll up for a bit. Now, the first combat unit is already in production here for Shopkeeper Dog. It is a Hurakan going to be pairing with this Mason to move forward. And I will say that, you know, what we've seen out of the last two games with Looeye at the helm of the Zerg race, he has been doing like a 7 Kagrant, 8 pool, something like that. And so his pool timing has been super fast. This time around, though, he is not going to be able to rely on that. Now, he is making a Kagrant to turn into a Circuith, presumably? Or he wants to make that his secondary use for the... oh, no, it is going to be a Circuith. Okay, so he's trying out a more defensive style, you know, and so he's going to be well-equipped with this, you know, well-equipped to deal with this. So with the Kagrant already turning into a Circuith, there's no hope for the Hurakan to really get much done here. So that will probably call off the attack from Dog, as the first Hydralisk is in production as well. There's a Maverick on the way. Does he have any Mavericks coming? No, it's triple Hurakan with a Star Pad and a Fulcrum, so a 1-1-1 kind of situation here. He needs to pull that Hurakan out. Oh, no. Was not quite able to do it. He could have been heckling that Larvosk this whole time. Now he's going to go ahead and find the magic spot for it, but the Hydralisk is out, so a little bit of a flub there, it must be said. Maybe the second Hurakan can help burn stuff down. But instead, you see, he's not going to the corner there. He went over, and so that means the Circuith hits him. Yeah, there might have even been a chance for that second Hurakan to kill the Larvosk, by the way. That could have realistically happened, but not that way anyway. So the Star Pad equipped early on is actually going to go by the wayside for now. Dog is not making anything out of it. He wants another stockade to complement his current roster of units. If the counterattack comes in anytime soon, he could be in danger, but Looeye wants to kind of greed out of this. He wants to maybe make a few more workers. Of course, he is making a couple of Hydras, but he's only got 3 of them right now. It's not a considerable force. He's just going to try to take his expand. That Fulcrum for an immediate Palladium, a Trojan on the way now, and we have seen a single Cyprian and a bunch of Mavericks. This could be dropped, but it could also, of course, be here to hold. More than enough to deal with the 3 Hydras that are coming across. Looeye is still in some danger, especially if it ends up being a Phalanx drop where you just drop it here and attack the Circuith. Now, the Hydras make contact, but they are going to be pushed back. Still wants to try a little bit of it. I think that's a mistake. If the stim had come out and had been active still, would have been a different story. Because then, obviously, I feel like a Hydra would have died. He's actually going to dive back in. He's losing a Hydra for his troubles. Another one going to go down to that Cyprian. This is not really all that stellar here for Looeye. He can't really be losing these units for free. I mean, it's not cost efficient to trade Hydras for the Mavericks, but he wants to put some pressure on him, maybe put the fear of Dog in him. And the Phalanx is out, so it is going to be a Phalanx trap. Does he go with multiple or not? I mean, remember, if you deploy the Phalanx, then, well, I mean, I guess he can just target the workers, right? That is one thing, but the workers can also target the Phalanx if it's in siege mode. So that is something to think about. Can't just reliably kill stuff forever. If the worker pull comes out, then the Circuith is there, and that delays, and the Hydras respond, so we'll have to see how that one plays out, but there's certainly a chance for Dog to get some damage, especially if he drops it over here in the corner out of vision. We'll see how fast the response time is. It looks like Looeye might be immediately thinking about that, although right now he's just setting up a nice little concave. And the drop is here. It's going to go ahead and deploy. Where's the shot? He needs one shot. Oh, 4 kills. Worth it immediately. Loads it up. filling up the coffers. Trojan, all stuff full. And so, actually, that is a little bit of information here for looeye to remember. Because, oh, he's actually going to try to attack it. That's very funny. Looeye should know that that means that there's nothing else in the Trojan. He's chancing around over here a little bit. I don't know quite why he's worried about that. There is no other run by, though. So Dog's actually going to try to go back in for another shot at the worker line. But not quite close enough, right? Unloaded a little bit too far, I think. Or maybe just didn't have vision of the drilleths. Either one is a possibility. He's still going to be annoying with it. He's got a ministry on the location of his natural. He's making more units, adding another Trojan, and adding... He's already got 2 Phalanxes back at home. So still looking pretty dangerous. Looeye, his worker count, not stellar. Not really taking advantage of his position with regards to the natural and such. So there is that as well to consider. Yeah, overall, I gotta say that I'm liking Dog's salvaging of the situation. He didn't get much value out of the very early stockade, but he also was kind of mind-gamed out of it, right? With Dog... or rather with Looeye expecting vultures going for the Circuith really fast, it meant that his Hurricanes were even less useful, right? And so, yeah, sure, he could have, on the micro side, done a little bit more to it to accomplish it, but right now it looks like the harassment is going to piece him up in a different way. There's the pullback, but, oh, okay, only one worker kill going down there. A second one will be harvested up. Now, the second Phalanx is going to be on the way. There are units to accept it over here, but as long as one target goes down, no, he's not going to hit the worker line with it. Oh, and he picks it up a little bit too late as well, so not ideal there. Looeye definitely doing well to garrison a few units in a few places. Has he noticed that the one is passing by his natural? He's going to go ahead and unload over there. Oh, that's a big money shot for 3 extra frags. We'll take that. By the way, you can't unload on these little islands here, right? So that's been... There's no visual indication for that, unfortunately, but that has been taken care of by Veek, who made this map, using our new little map maker's trick to make it so that it's entirely unpathable. So, no way to unload, Jose. Well, forcing the Hydralisk to start going on a bit of a round table spin. Now, this Phalanx is going to be able to get access to the gas harvesting over here. Definitely has been doing a number on him. Oh, look at that. I guess he might end up reunifying in that situation. Where's the response here for Dog? Instead, he's just going to target down. He's going to sacrifice this Phalanx and Trojan, potentially, for that. But he's already gotten 2 frags out of it inside the corner. Must be so annoying for Looeye to deal with. Splash damage is going to kill another 2 workers. And maybe even the Circuith itself will end up going down. So... Not ideal here. He's got to, he's basically got to go round and round and round this whole time. You can see that Dog is actively monitoring the situation with his Trojan. One more shot will probably kill another worker. All right. And only now is he actually going to go ahead and get in. Oh, okay. Getting a lot of worker kills, 20 worker kills before this Phalanx will be dealt with is not too shabby. So... I think that they paid for themselves. Remember, that is a lot of resources. 2 Trojans, 2 Phalanxes. But I think in all of the chaos that it sowed, Looeye has shown a bit of weakness that is uncharacteristic of his play so far, right? His first showing yesterday, a lot better in terms of the performance. This time around, you're seeing a little bit of crisis management issues. That and I'm not saying that as a diss. That is a hard thing to try to respond to in the moment. So definitely an area that Dog may choose to fixate on and attack going forward, but he still needs to make it out of the current game. And while he's definitely favored to with a 13 worker advantage and the same base count, with plenty of Phalanxes, making a ground attack absolutely ill-advised, to me, I feel like we're in for a Terran victory here. He's already got his first stockade with a Covenant add-on, so he's going to be looking sharp there in the composition. Avaleth going to be moving out from the 3rd base location to scout around and maybe get a little bit of an angle onto Dog. And he is lifting his stockade. That does make a run-in a little bit more possible, but with pure Hydra Izzy, it's not really easy to do, I think. So remorphing that Kagran into a Larvosk, he's going to go ahead and assume that he's dealt with the drops for now, which is accurate. He does have a couple of units in a few different locations. He's actually made 3 Avaleth, setting down his 3rd base. That's a lot of gas expended on that particular sort of response to that. But hey, it does give him a little bit of advance warning. I would love for this Avaleth to maybe be kind of situated closer to the edge of the map in case that's the angle of attack that Dog takes. But I suppose he has a couple of units in a few different locations. Moving to the bottom right with a Hydra to watch out on certain things. Sieve being added. We love that. Third base, airlifted. Dog's actually ahead of the game tempo-wise. Now, he doesn't have an entrenched position at the third yet, but he can set that up himself. As the ski back comes down, all right, so it's going to be Bactals, maybe Skithrakors. We saw them do well on Dyadic Shore, so don't put it past looeye to try that move again. But we do have Watchdogs coming down in advance around the natural and the main base, so it looks like Shopkeeper Dog he's equipping himself with his kin. You know, he's got the Watchdogs up, and they're barking up a storm. looeye not yet even entertaining the idea that Dog might have floated a base down to the third. He's not even watching for the worker egress, so that's 8 workers transferred over, and now Dog feels empowered to move out. He is going to be making contact with these Hydras pretty soon. Let's see if the stim pack comes out for the Mavericks, or does he want to go ahead and deploy? Remember, the Aziracore is still threatened, but oh my god, the first splattering is going to be a lot less juicy than the second. Look at all those Hydras pop. A couple of Savants are going to come in from the back end, and yes, indeed, a lot of Phalanxes are falling. This is definitely not as cost-efficient as Dog would have probably hoped. Remember that Zerg does still maintain a little bit of a monopoly on mass spamming the production out, so they can reset their army very, very easily. A couple of workers even making an appearance, battle workers, so not really, they just get annihilated. And the Skithrakors are flying to the east of the map. They will sweep into that natural at some point, almost certainly, but they will be BTFO'd by the Watchdog, you know? I'm liking what I'm seeing. You know, Dog's definitely focused a bit more on the 2-base, you know, production count, and then got his third up. Yeah, looeye had maybe a bit of an unforced error in not checking for it and delaying it, but the ground game was always going to favor the Terran in this situation. Now, this Watchdog is not going to be long for this world versus the 3 or 4 Skithrakors, but it almost kills 2, and now there's more going to be made. So, looking all right there. looeye not going to be getting too much done with just a small spattering of them. He is making 5 more, so he's doubling down on the idea. Let's see if maybe he can pivot in and try to maybe pinch the third. Still not aware of that. He still doesn't know Dog has that, so another little bit of a missed opportunity, perhaps. 24 workers? No, 22 workers, something like that. There's a lot of workers here, okay? So a lot of extra workers here for Dog. That gap is closing as looeye starts to make his Bactals. But the Phalanx count is pretty high. Like, I don't think Dog is going to be too worried about them. The one thing you can say, though, is that when Bactals come out, you kind of want, like, Goliath Cleric for sure. And you also probably want some of your Phalanxes to be in tank mode, because the armor is going to be much better at reducing the damage of the Bactalisk. So 8 Skithrakors are coming in this time around, but there's extra Watchdogs, you know, spotting for this area, so I still don't think they'll be able to get too much done. They may end up forcing and diverting some reinforcements. There is a 4th base established at the 3 o'clock position, and we've got Skithrakors coming for... Okay, well, that first Watchdog is not long for this world. They end up pivoting away. Where are the reinforcements is the question, but are they even necessary? Another one posed as the army of the Terrans is going to bisect the 4th base from the 3rd. Goliath's coming out for reinforcements, 2 dead Masons on gas, but other than that, I mean, not super cost efficient as more and more are set up. Now this 3rd base is pressured, and the Phalanxes have a really nice natural cover from the incoming attack. They are going to get flanked, and there's nothing over there to stop the Aziracore onslaught, but the hole coming in from the reinforcing angle of looeye is collapsing. The Savant's rotating back around the Phalanx line to help out from afar, and I feel like they've bought enough time. The 3rd base will almost certainly be brought down in the meanwhile. That one Goliath still standing strong, needs a couple of clerics to heal it. But yeah, this is a firing squad, the likes of which looeye is unlikely to be able to bust. Remember, he doesn't have much Vespian income right now. He hasn't been doing the ridge capping, either because of he's forgotten it because it's brand new, or because he still believes that one map-specific issue on Maelstrom means that he can't do it. But that means he doesn't have that much Vespian, right? If he had done that, he would have probably had more Bactals. He maybe could have fought this army a bit more. All the workers. All the workers. It's devastating. Phalanx is going to go ahead and shellac the Hydra count. More of them are on the way, but it's not going to be enough to stop this army, I don't think. And remember, behind this, Dog has mostly been unfettered in his quest to add more production. Even killing one of his own Hydras to help him out there. looeye looks like he has been bested. Our Terran will be moving forward, and that is a victory for Dog. Oh, he did say that he was looking for redemption. I'd say he's found it after that game. But there are 2 more matches, so we could end up seeing a nice little move where he ties up the score. I certainly hope that he does. So far as I hope that there's some cool parity games, you know, cool games of nice matches. Let's find out what Game 2 has in store for us. The positions have been swapped, but Shopkeeper Dog in the top right as the Mahogany Terran, Auburn, is moving out with his first Mason again. He wants to do that instant stockade. Meanwhile, Looeye is down here in the bottom left as the Golden Brown Zerg, or is it Neon Carrot? Neon Carrot Zerg in the bottom left. And there's the stockade coming on down very, very early. 2 workers get made with the starting resources, and then he mines 150 minerals and gets himself a stockade. So will Looeye do the same thing? Will he predict the same thing? He's actually going to go ahead and, I thought maybe he would scout, but his Kagrin is going to be very far out there. So if he does his, defensively placed Circuith in the mineral line again to stop the vultures from killing him, he's going to have to contest with the Hurakan on his Larvosk again, right? But he's still harvesting gas after the extra gas for the Larvosk, so he's definitely going after the Hydrith opener again. This is very, very similar to what we see, so we are going to get a run back. What is the change from Dog? He's sending out another Mason. Is that for another stockade, or is that for a scout? Looks like it's for the latter. We'll see what he does with his home Mason. The stockade Mason. Instant Hurakan, and okay, he's just going to go back home and start harvesting more minerals. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. No gas just yet. Hydrith then nearly complete, or just now put down. Oh, that's a weird spot. But this feels like it'll be a more open and shut case for the Hurakan to get some value, because there's no defense, no combat unit as the Mason arrives, right? I see what he's doing. He wants to put the Kagrin up here to protect the ramp. That's a little bit ballsy. So obviously there are ways to hold this. The Hurakan's going to come in and walk past the Circuith, and then it'll be able to attack the Larvosk with some ease, right? But he's actually not even going to have the Circuith finished. Is he going to go after it? Are you really going to attack it with the Hurakan? That's pretty ballsy. No, he's not. He's just going to sort of heckle it with the Mason. Okay. Well, unfortunately, that is not going to be very, very effective. He's going to go after the workers now instead of the Larvosk. Doesn't want to do that again. And the Hurakan should make it past the Circuith. Maybe not, because he did a weird path instead of, maybe he went for the attack or something instead. Well, 2 workers have been killed, though. This is still a lot of economic disruption. The Hydralisk was done, but another dead worker. Oh, man, 3 worker kills, disruption out the wazoo, and the Ministry is 75% of the way there. No star pad this time. It was Ministry into double Fulcrum for Shopkeeper Dog. Okay, well, once again, the Terran has found some value. This time it definitely was with that early game. Looeye obviously went for a Circuith defensively in the last game, and that you can argue whether that put him behind or not, but it did insulate him versus the 6 stockade or 8 stockade or whatever it was, right? This time around, the Hurakan comes in, gets 3 kills instead of doing basically nothing. And the second Hurakan obviously didn't do too much, but in theory, I could have seen it be somewhat threatening. Certainly increased the pressure for a moment, I'm sure, if Looeye even noticed it. And now we've got Fulcrums, we've got Mavericks. Once again, it doesn't really feel like the Hydralisks are going to be able to accomplish too much. Second Larvosk to be. Circuith defensively at the ramp as well. It kind of makes it feel a little bit bad to take your natural, because then your Circuith doesn't really do anything. Stops run-bys, admittedly. That's a big moment. Especially with 2 Fulcrum coming in. But it's actually a very fast first Palladium, and I guess the second Palladium is going to be coming up soon as well. Unless he wants to do some kind of mixed move where he goes for a scrapyard. But I'm thinking that's going to be a Palladium as well. Nearly complete, so he'll add the first Phalanx, I suppose. He doesn't exactly have all the money that he would probably want for this sort of thing. But yeah, there's a Phalanx. We'll see if the... Oh, it's a star pad first. Okay. I would love to see maybe some vultures added in or something like that, but we'll see what he does. Third Larvosk on the way for Looeye. Okay. What do we get out of this Palladium? Yep, okay. Well, I was going to say this Fulcrum, and then I said this Palladium because I was predicting the second Palladium. So, double Palladium, double add-on, right? Extra Phalanx production. Very, very good for Terran. We see that in Starcraft 1 all the time as well. Your decision for when to add the second add-on for the factories so that you can get better tank production does matter in, TVP. And to the extent that you are fighting, Hydras in Starcraft 1, you also want your tank count to be somewhat respectable. Usually, you need some kind of transition timing. Sometimes it can be enough to just have 1 or 2, but for the most part, you probably want a second add-on at some point. Second factory to begin with. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is a different game, but similar story. And I like to call back to StarCraft 1 heuristics every now and then. Like, oh yeah, this is true in StarCraft 1. It's kind of like a similar idea here. First Phalanx is in a defensive position. Could probably be a little bit closer to the stockade, but obviously being very, very careful. Still no natural for our Zerg player. The Trojan is out, and the Hydras and Iziricors are standing guard outside the natural choke. There are a couple that are playing anti-drop already, so that's good instincts from Mr. Looeye. See what he can make happen as the first Phalanx leaves the building. He's also idled another one over there. Mason has come down for scouting, gets bopped by some forward units. So there's 2 Hydras in the mineral line and 1 Iziricor out here to contest the drop. I think that he can still get 1 shot off and attack the Droleths. So there still is an opportunity for some damage here. But as of right now, Looeye is down by 12 workers. Oh, look at that. He's actually going to try to heckle the Iziricor out. And maybe disrupt what's going on over here. So the Phalanx dropping has already begun. Not going after the workers, though. Going after the military units for now. Just being a nuisance. You can see the army has all been pivoted out to try to quash this threat, and the Trojan wisely evacuates a little bit further up. That's going to be a vestry on the front line, a stockade, double stockade. Oh, triple stockade. He's going to go savants again. He's definitely been enjoying that. His Phalanxes are idling by the star pad, which feels like a mistake, but you know, there's not enough star pad, there's not enough Trojan production here to keep up with all of those. No. He's going to wind back in just in time as the Zerg army is falling away. Oh, he actually picked it up by accident before the shot came through. Well, Looeye is aware of it, you know, he's going to heckle it. And, you know, just getting a little bit more value out of the economy here for Shopkeeper Dog. He's got a lot of minerals, so he could definitely drop those gas caps if he wanted to, or some extra stockades or something of the sort. But as of right now, he's rocking it. You know, he's rocking and rolling. Here comes the Zerg army. There's the one Hurakan is going to get chewed up immediately. A whole bunch of Phalanxes are back here. This is a very, I would argue, a bit of an ill-advised move, as the Masons are going to start to fall away. The Ministry still being constructed. The Cleric receiving some healing. Good pullback on Dog's Mason count. You know, he's still actually up by 7, so he hasn't lost that many in aggregate, like compared to his opponent. And look at that, just the utter shellacking. There are no further value that you can get. I say that, he almost kills his own Phalanx with some projectiles there. But yeah, definitely a big value for the ground army there. And sure, he takes his expansion in the meanwhile, like Looeye is still in this game. But I think once this move out gets healed up a little bit, maybe a few other units than Phalanxes, it kind of feels like to me a foregone conclusion that this game is definitely looking Dog favored. Now, saying that, the pool is coming down. I don't know how much value you're going to get out of that. Maybe you could work in Nathricors. They give you the armor rend, plus they fly, so you can only attack them with like Mavericks right now, or Savants that are coming out. Maybe some Goliaths will come out later as well. I don't know. Like they're kind of like a support-ish unit, but they would at least stop the Trojans from killing your workers and stuff, like with the drops. There's some value to them. I'm trying to think about what he wants to do with the pool, though. Like, if he just wants to flood Zeths into the Phalanxes, that could make sense, but once the Savants get into a certain amount of number, it's not going to be too valuable. The Hydra's getting shooed away by the tank mode Phalanxes, and actually Dog is not watching them right now, so this is an opportunity for Looeye to potentially jump on him. The sieve finishes in the main. Just zoning him away as the Ministry goes to land at the third base. Now, this is something that was a big moment in the last game. Looeye did not check the third base. He doesn't yet know. I don't think he caught sight of the Ministry. Maybe his Hydra's pushing in did, but did he notice it? Did he clock it? Zorkia's Shroud. Okay, so he's kind of covering his bases, getting all the tier 1.5 except for the ski back. Big loss of a couple of Hydra units there, Hydrith units. Another same Trojan actually is once again going to come on down. Going to need to unload somewhere. He could unload over here, I guess. There's still 2 Hydras and an Iziricor walking out here. Well, he's going to go ahead and realize what's happening just in time to watch 3 more workers get blown up. He's got 9 waiting. Oh, another 2 just died. That is brutal. Well, rallying out the Zeths. There's only a few Savants right now. They are on the kinetic pen mode, which is very, very good versus Zethicors. Yeah, it's feeling like, you know, they're cheap chaff. We did get the Vornath Pond. We do have some Nathricors on the way. It looks like 5 pairs. So he's going to have 10 of them to work with. Maybe dive onto the Savants or dive onto the Phalanxes themselves. I can see a world in which it would work out, but oh man, more kills for the Phalanx, going up to 12 worker kills is not ideal. The Trojan's going to even come back in and scoop him up and then fall back. The spray finishes just in time to tag it. Ah, okay, the hordes of Naths. This is actually more than I thought. It turns out it must have been 8 or 9 or something instead of 5. And more pairs got made at some point. All right, so the Covenant number 3 is added. Another vestry back here, as this stockade is still here with its vestry. 4th ministry is complete. Dog is going to go ahead and try to secure the upper left interior base, like the middle upper left. There's got to be a better term for that. All right. A Trojan is with the army. It's probably just going to soak up some damage right now because he's not actively dropping with it. I don't hate that idea, I guess. Now, the Hydras are going to spot that base coming on down. Here come the deployments as a bunch of the Hydras are sort of whisked away. We do have some Vorvs. Oh, unfortunate pathing there. He just does not quite tell his units where to go correctly. All right, so 18 Nathicors are descend upon a ministry. How long does it take for them to heckle it? If it lifts off, it's going to take a lot more damage. Gorgorcors are here as well. There's a big diaspora of Zerg units being made right now. The problem is, like, he doesn't really have a win condition for his army engage that doesn't involve, like, really precise targeting of units. Now, he could just bypass the army and attack the third base, and that's exactly what he's doing. Dog now has to scramble to respond to it. He's got a couple of units reinforcing coming in from another place, but the Masons are going to have to be pulled out and ordered to maybe the 4th base. That looks like where they're going, judging by their trajectory. Trojan will be bopped. It's mostly just an eyesore, I suppose. And with the Zorius going down, that ministry is going to be eaten up. That is unfortunate there, the lift not coming in time. All right, well, what more can Dog give us? The air flock moving around, the third base now being set up by looeye. And it looks like Shopkeeper Dog still has a Mason in the bottom right corner for some reason. We'll see what he does with it. Now coming back over to try to step on this ministry. Remember, the Gorgs can do really, really well versus the Mason count. And so this is definitely going to be a big problem for Dog to have to contend with. He doesn't have really any air splash. I guess the Savants do count. Oh, that's not what you want to do when there's so many Nathicors on it. Yeah, they just feast upon it. So knocking his opponent back down to 2 bases, killing all those Masons. Very, very good there for looeye. But Dog still has a lot of money. He's got a lot of cash, so he just spends it down, gets 3 Goliaths, 3 Savants, a couple Clerics, and of course drops another Ministry as he is wont to do. Feels like he didn't realize how far ahead he was in terms of the military, and still feels like he can take a very decisive victory here. He might not even need to deploy his Phalanx, as the Savants are going to help clean up all of those Nathricors. That is going to be a wrap for them. We still have a couple of Gorgs in the fight, but yeah, they're going to be brought down by the anti-air as well. And the ground game just never took off, right? Not enough Hydras to punch through all of those Phalanxes. He probably needed Lakes, because it would deal the line trace damage. But let's be real, Shopkeeper Dog just has a very beefy army right now. And there is not that much anti-armor power for the Zerg to contend with. He was behind, economically speaking, from pretty much the word go, and now his last military units collapse as the war machine continues to move forward. Shopkeeper Dog will take another dub back-to-back. Well, we have one more game. The dream of 3-3 tie, best of 7, must go to game 7, that kind of vibe, even though we only have one more game. Let's see what happens in it. We got to know right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to Radium, a map by BiddyB, based on Axiom. It is where we will have our final showdown between looeye, once again Neon Carrot Zerg in the bottom left, against Shopkeeper Dog, who is the Glacial Terran? Oh, Alice Blue Terran in the top right, and he is once again doing his early stockade shenanigan. That's actually going to cut a worker from his build order this time, so this feels like more what happened on the first Catalyst game of this video. So, interesting stuff. I do appreciate the evolution in Dog's play. You know, he's been trying the mech openers. He doesn't really get that much of an early eco advantage. Catalyst, okay, the first game, he doesn't really get much of a value add from the stockade, but he plays the follow-up really well with the drops, and that exposes looeye's weakness. Then looeye adapts to that with the preemptive, you know, 2 Hydra, 1 Iziracore move, but that allows Dog to get up to a pretty fast, you know, ministry for his natural. Like, the adaptation there is, well, I'm just going to take my ministry super fast, and since it worked out because looeye wasn't super aggro, There's definitely some value gained there. So I like that. I like the little mind games and like the little nuances that are happening here. We go through the TVZ rigmarole, and I'm not. It's not lost on me that we haven't actually seen some Protoss in a bit. Obviously, we saw PvT between Steven and Shopkeeper Dog earlier, and I'll say what I want to see going forward is Protoss versus Protoss. So there's some Arbuz versus Steven games. It might even be Nebline versus Steven. I can't remember. So there are some PvP games that we can cast, so expect those soon. But yeah, right now, we're continuing our TVZ tirade, and it is going into a potential world where the last game it was all Zerg wins. Could be all Terran wins this time. However, the Circuit is already finished. The distance on this map is a little bit more prohibitive. That being said, that Circuit is not really well placed, if you think about it, right? The Huracan's just going to be able to... Well, okay, I was going to say the Huracan could just walk around here and then attack the workers, and nothing would be achieved. looeye still isn't even making a Hydralisk. He is so secure right now, he feels, but the Huracan just can walk around and not die to the Circuit. This is such a paper tiger, right? It's you put down, like, this is like the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. You know, don't look behind the curtain. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Like, that is... He's still not making a military unit, dude. That is so wild to me. looeye is staring like Ahmed, you know, Death, aka Ahmed, like in parentheses Ahmed. He's staring that in the face, and he's just like, it matters not. I will be fine. Second Larvosk on the way before the first military unit. You absolutely love to see it. And this ministry is 70% of the way there, with a Fulcrum as the follow-up for Shopkeeper Dog. So going into his fast eco, he doesn't need to kill his opponent with the first Huracan. He exercises mercy, I guess you could say, you know? Very interesting, very cool. That being said, the ministry is coming up online. That is going to signal to us that Dog may decide to abandon his drop shenanigans, and he'll go for 2 fast Fulcrums. But this is actually the same build order that he used, more or less, in the previous round. So just watching for the expansion timing. When he sees that it's nowhere in sight, he will most likely just end up... Yeah, he's going to put down an anchor for defense, just in case. But this is what happened last game too, and looeye wasn't really able to do too much. I wonder if the anchor signifies he's not going to do much harassment, because the harassment kind of is a gamble that your opponent responds to that instead of what they might want to respond to otherwise. A couple of Hydras are finally invested in, and the natural will be coming pretty fast compared to the last game for looeye. He's going to go ahead and set it up before his first round of military units. And our boy, the Huracan, will be seeing that, watching over that. So, data for Dog as he puts down his Palladium. Now, in the past, what did he do with the Palladium count? He went 2 Fulcrum, Palladium, like 1 Palladium, Star Pad, 2nd Palladium, right? But he did work in a Phalanx before the Star Pad, so we'll see if he does the same exact thing. Zorka Shroud much earlier this time from looeye, no pool. I actually thought that the Nathracores and stuff, they did work out better than I thought they would. I gave them maybe a little bit too little credit. Obviously, there was a heavy investment. But very, very good for putting the finishing touches on the Trojan and obviously clearing out the bases that were sort of in the middle of nowhere for Dog. So, cool stuff there. I guess what you saw on Catalyst in that last game is, where do you even go for a 4th base? The first Catalyst game, looeye takes the 3 o'clock position instead of like where Dog went for his 4th base. Like, neither one looked particularly easy to hold or comfortable, right? But that was also due to the fact that like both early games were very bizarre and different. And there was some damage exchanged. So we'll see how that one ends up changing up. But we now have a quarry down for Shopkeeper Dog. We'll see what he wants to do with the Talus. I'm guessing it's because he can come down here and build sieves on those Vespine ridges. Huracan's getting eaten up. And this still feels like a big imbalance that BiddyB forgot to correct, but there is a reservoir over there. Maybe that's where he will harvest first. Because it's not on this side. So, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minerals. Yeah, there's 5 minerals, so it's not even like this version has less minerals or something like to balance it out. So yeah, that feels like it was just an oversight. But that's all right. I mean, this tile is still here. This map just needs an update, you know? But anyway, the Avaleth is coming in for a drop. There are plenty of Mavericks here to respond to it, so I doubt that will be a big threat. Adding stockades for the Savants. He's got his Phalanx count pretty high for now in the round. Looks like we'll lose only 1 Mason, and the Avaleth will fall away. Mavericks could have jumped on that a little bit more, but Dog was going back to doing other things. He's like, ugh, you dare harass me? Whatever, man. I'm going back to doing other things. And there it is, going straight for the reservoir. So He's definitely going to have a little bit of extra gas in his coffers. Stim comes out yet again, and the Ovolith dropped below half HP. With the sight of the Watchdog means that he's probably not liable to get much done with that. Again, I've said this many times, but when you drop at the same time as nothing else is happening to your opponent, then unless they're struggling in the PvE department of, like, spending their money and they're really focused on, like, building out units or structures or whatever, and, like, they can't tear their attention away to respond to that, you're not demanding that they do something else in addition to respond to your drop, right? And so it's a lot easier for them to immediately respond to it. That being said, the third base is coming up very fast, another tile, for looeye. That's kind of interesting because this will be the fastest third that I think we've seen in the whole game, in the whole series. Could be wrong about that. I know that obviously ministries do come out thick and fast when you're shopkeeper dog. Halfway complete now for looeye, though. Let's see what he wants to supplement it with. He's actually at a pretty low military count, all things considered. Couple lake is, wow, 6 lake is on the way. There's the third ministry for shopkeeper. So he's got plenty of phalanxes. No star pad in sight, so detection will be a problem. No vestry either. It's triple covenant. So he's gonna have lots of savants. He's gonna have a decent number of phalanxes, of course. And now the Mavericks are gonna go ahead and stim after that one Hydra. But the ski back coming, I think, like Bactyl Lake will definitely allow looeye to get some value versus this composition. But what does Dog do when it comes to other things? Like, where's he going to go when it comes to the detection side of it? When it comes to whether he needs air units or something? What does he do there? So, yeah, we'll have to watch for that. The move out has begun. The anchor is dispatched, and the Hydra scouts it out. We've got plenty of Lakes over here. 8 of them, in fact. 3 Zorius on the way, and a couple more Lakes just hatched, it looks like. Okay, so the third base not actually saturated yet, but that'll be another objective here for looeye when we see another round of workers in the production tab. That's something that we can think about. Talus is harvesting from the ridges and the reservoir. That probably still shouldn't be there. And there are going to be some consequences for that. I mean, the extra gas means that we've got triple covenant, we've got double vestry, making clerics, which are not gas units, but at some point if he needs shamans for detection, he'll have the ability to. Adding watchdogs around his main and natural, so feeling pretty safe there. And the third base is going to get airlifted into this area over here. Now, the Hydras are going to come in from the west. The Phalanxes are in an okay spot to stop this. There's actually not that much production on the other side. A big shellacking of 5 Lakes just immediately evaporating. Not great targeting on the rest of the army, but there you go. Whew, that's satisfying. Well, immediately the rest of the Zerg ranks break and they fall back. Looks like 2 Phalanxes got shellacked in the middle of all that, but that is such a beautiful trade. That first shot was all the impact that Dog needed. Now the Lakers are going to come in after the shot. This is much wiser from looeye. There's no way to target those Lakers. So a lot of them are going to get absolutely eviscerated before our very eyes. That fight way better as the Lakers don't come in as the siege comes out, right? So airlifting the ministry. The last couple of chaff units for those Lakers do end up getting routed. Not going to chance pushing forward. The first shaman of the day is arriving. And we have a star pad for the inevitable ant seal in the production tab. So Dog's going to finish that one up. He'll try to go ahead and land his ministry. He did lose a lot of phalanxes. He's got a 3rd fulcrum out for Goliath production. Definitely wants to get a defensive lineup going here. Savants are going to go ahead and try their best to shoo away the Lakers. They get 1. Not bad. Now, what else do we got going for looeye? Got a lot of minerals in the bank. Spends it on Zorius. That kind of meat can definitely be difficult for Shopkeeper Dog's current army to deal with. He doesn't have any Harakans. He doesn't have any Matadors. I highly doubt we'll see the Matadors, but Harakans are always a possibility when you have this many stockades in production. Kind of throwing away a bunch of his Zorius here. I don't know what looeye was thinking there, but maybe they were just rallied and he's decided to go in and see what he can do. Answer is not much. He kind of confirms the complexion of the army. Okay, so this next attack could be all she wrote. I mean, looeye has got a lot of Hydras. Let's see how it actually shapes up. The Ant Seal is here. Very, very good to cover this side for detection. And there it goes. A bunch of those Lakers end up going down. Reinforcement Phalanx is at a very crucial time. And okay, so Dog is just fine now. I mean, that was a very, very awkward fight. A lot of those Lakers were not in the right spot, got burrowed way far back. I thought maybe they would come in a little bit more. That army looked scary, but good scramble on the Anseal timing. Couple phalanxes on the way down as well from the rally. Looking good, feeling good. Shopkeeper Dog has his third base up. He's still got those gas harvesters at the sort of 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock positions. Those have not been taken care of, and so it definitely feels like the Zerg player is falling behind. This anchor is not quite landed to block the Expo. The Ovaleth not quite encouraging looeye to take a fourth, but tier 2 on the way as the army moves out. Now this is potentially kind of scary, right? Because the army is still there for looeye. He might just run in and shut down the third base. There's nothing protecting it, nothing defending it, and no advance warning for that attack will exist. So as we see this army move out, this is potentially a big moment where Dog might have to either pull back to defend or make the decision to attack his opponent fully. Because his opponent is not going to pull back himself. So here comes the attack. Immediately airlifts the Ministry. That's going to cause the Masons to mostly die to Lakers funds. Oh, it's brutal. Will he be able to hold? I think he's got more than enough defensive units, but he did just lose a big amount. Now, his Anseal dies on the front line, but there are no Lakers over here for looeye. I'm looking around. I don't see any in the production tab, so that is not so consequential. The backfill count, too low. The Hydra count, definitely too low. The flank is going to come in from the top, and we already have a Shaman for deployment, so there is still some detection here on that northern flank, and that is going to be very important, especially as the Lakers start to come on in, but they are within range, and oh no, they don't burrow fast enough either, and the Zoryus kind of filter in later on. We've still got two Lakers there. One of them is within range, surely. No, maybe not, of that detection, but the Hydras are going to come in from the south. It's just not quite enough. I think we've actually seen the reverse three-piece from Shopkeeper Dog. Imagine if these were submitted in a different order and it was just neck and neck the whole way through. It would have been a very different showing. Oh my god, he went straight from Atlas to Daedala. He must have floated some cash. Well, at least we got to see the Daedala in production. That's tier 3. And it's not going to be necessary. looeye will not be able to stop this onslaught. Definitely probably feels like he was close, you know? Like, that's how I feel, is he wasn't that far away, but not being able to stop this army. When you come in with your force and you see nothing responding to you in force, that does feel scary, right? You're like, shit, where's his army? Where's his army? And GG has to be called as looeye drops his natural. That is it. That 4-hour set of games. Got to see some pretty cool things. I am a fan. Glad that we got that action to watch between these two. And as promised, tomorrow we will go to Protoss versus Protoss. See the state of that matchup. As people have talked about it, they're not necessarily fans of the mirrors always in any RTS game. But, you know, we try to do things differently around here. So let's see if we can maybe make that happen. We'll be catching you guys soon. Peace.